Cheers. All right, it is now 6 o'clock and I will call to order the August 11th, 2014 meeting of the Easthampton Conservation Commission. This meeting is being recorded. Are there any public concerns, non-agenda items?
That would be me.
Please
Hi.
introduce yourself.
Hi, you don't need me to stand up, right?
You don't need to stand up. You
Okay.
can come up there
Or
if
you
you
prefer, but.
No, I'm good right here,
Okay.
if that's all right with you.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Karen Cadger, and I'm the mayor of Easthampton. And actually, one of the members had asked me if I could pop in and, be at one of their meetings at some point in time, this was the one that I had scheduled to be at. And probably explain to you why I don't come to the meetings. Jessica, as you know, is our city planner, and any updates that she feels that I would need, she is probably the most detailed person I know. So any involvement that she feels is needed on my part, she would certainly invite me. I do have a concern. I know you can't answer my questions tonight, but this is on the beaver issue. I know you're familiar with it. I've received some information and I'm setting up a meeting with it's a beaver solution company.
Is that Mike
And-
Callahan?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And just to get some information along with our utility supervisor and hopefully also our city engineer. I think Mr. Gracia has probably already met with him or at least discussed it. And I think my concern on this is he believes that you don't need, when I originally had talked to Jim Gracia, he had said, we wanted some process that we were still thinking of following, but it's a very detailed the notification process through the Conservation Commission was pretty detailed due to the waterways. And this gentleman does not seem to think that that is involved at all. So that's why I'm really interested in getting his input and why he believes that, and that's why I would like Tom Newton, our utility supervisor there, and Jim Gracia. So I kind of just wanted to tell you what's going on my end.
Okay.
And I think you know how we've been, the rest of the situation has been going there.
Yes.
But it's something that, we're definitely addressing on a weekly basis.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other public concerns, non-agenda items? So being none, we'll move on to the first public hearing / meeting. Request for determination of applicability regarding 179 Northampton Street for the repaving of the existing parking lot.
Good evening. My name is Mark Reed from Heritage Surveys. Tony Gleason
And Mary Ann Gleason.
and Mary Ann Gleason is here also tonight. So the Gleasons are the owners of that property, and Tony had come in to talk to Jessica about it, about repaving the existing parking area, which is, here's kind of an ortho photo, almost across the street or kitty corner from Abishan's Hardware, and just down the road from the post office. Abishan's Hardware being here, the apartment complex, the Boyle Zone here, and directly across. So it's in dire need of repaving. It's old, hasn't been upgraded in many, many years. So as part of their improvements to the property, it's a kind of a U-shaped building. It's all currently paved. The pavement would be removed, regraded, and repaved in kind without any enlargement or changes to the area of the blacktop itself. We put together a sediment control plan for the property. There are 4 catch basins on the site itself. 2 are in the grass area, little depressions here and here. 2 in the parking area, and then a lot of the stormwater just sheet flows towards the wetlands, which are located here. And there's an intermittent brook that comes down through besides the apartment complex and Abishan's Hardware and continues down around the industrial park. So we're proposing straw wattles to be put in to protect any runoff from here, and the vegetation really starts right at the end of the pavement. Currently there's a dumpster enclosure here, and it starts right there through that area to protect any potential erosion coming off of the parking lot before they get the blacktop down. These areas, the catch basins would have filter fabrics put over the top of them to protect them during the construction also.
Are there any questions on the board?
And I have some pictures of the site too that we took showing the different areas.
So that's the southern side that you have in the content here that says Waddles in the southern.
Yes, right. Kind of deceiving because Northampton Street kind of runs, everyone thinks
Right.
north-south,
No.
but it really doesn't. So we just kind of refer to the southern side.
Any questions from the board? Are there any questions from the public?
There's going to be no changes to the drainage structures or anything like
No.
that? Just a pretty straightforward surface reconstruction?
Just reconstruction.
Yeah.
I mean, initially they were thinking about just repaving it, putting another, inch or inch and a half over the top of it. There's so many cracks in it, it would just,
I think it's original,
yeah,
When
would
was
crack
it,
again, so.
when was it developed?
73, I think.
Okay.
So there's a lot of cracks in it that need to come up, so that's why the entire pavement needs to come up and be regraded, but no changes to the drainage.
Okay.
All right. Anyone care to make a motion or accept a motion? Would you care to? Do you think the notice of intent should be filed or not?
Remember correctly, because it's not changing, they're just repaving, then not required. So it's the, I make a motion that the RDI finds a negative determination due to the fact that the work described in the request is within an, no. Right. Is within an area subject to protection but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter the area, therefore the said work does not require filing of a notice of intent.
Was that the motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Do we want to add in just a 48-hour
Mhm.
notice for the straw waddles?
Would you like to?
Amend the motion?
Yes, I would like to amend the motion that we ask
This is
for.
your test.
Seriously, I was not
Where's the
there.
rule book?
Totally there.
Putting you behind the
Oh, look
eight
at
ball
that.
here.
I would like to, the commission is contacted at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of construction to schedule an inspection of the erosion and sedimentation controls.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Your first motion, congratulations.
Yes.
Make
You're
a
among
Fine
friends,
job.
you're among friends, it's okay.
Thank you.
Just being recorded.
Yeah, I know.
All right, I'll pass it down to sign. And if you'll wait a moment, we'll make copies and repeat the original and be on your merry way.
Terrific. Thank you. When my contractor is ready to do that in 48 hours, is that 48 hours you have time to come and take a look at it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's-
We're generally, Jay's generally pretty
We have
responsive
to-
if he's in the area.
Well, the whole thing is we've got to put a plan together on how we're going to do this, because we've got to have them, half of them park in one area while we do that, and then once that portion is done, then they can move over to the other side. So it's going to take some prior planning anyways. We have kind of an idea how we're going to do that. We just haven't presented it to everyone yet, just so they don't have to get all worried and nervous beforehand.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
so at least 48 hours.
Yeah.
Which just gives us a little flexibility.
What about a little bit longer than 48 hours?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because then at least if there is
No,
a, no?
48 hours, I don't think you understand. 48 hours is enough.
Because if we do it sooner, then...
No.
Oh, no.
No,
Yeah, whenever
this
the
is for
waddles
them
are in
to come
place.
take a
Yeah,
look
Yeah,
at it.
no, I
and
understand
approve it.
that, I understand that, but I'm just saying if they come earlier than the 48 hours, at least if they were running late, we have it taken care of.
No, they're all set.
All right, as long as they come
It'll
within
all-
the 48 hours, that's the thing.
It'll all
Because if
work
they
out.
don't, then the
Yeah,
pavement guy is going to be delayed.
no.
Dave Loven will be doing the work, so.
But that's okay.
Right, so I think he's dealt with a couple different projects with me before.
Okay.
Yep.
I think generally speaking, there are 5 of us to pull from, and Jessica if we're in a pinch, so.
Oh, okay, so they will be there within the 48 hours.
Right.
Not usually a problem.
Yep. All right.
Alright, so,
While we're waiting, can I ask Mark a question?
sure.
You were involved in that tight tank installation that happened for the points on Old Stagecoach Road.
Oh, yes,
Do you happen to have their email address?
I don't have it with me.
If I email you something tomorrow, you can...
Sure, I do, yeah. Yeah,
Thank you.
Yes, I do have it.
it too, so just.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Appreciate you
you.
coming in.
All righty.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, do you want me to put my chairs back? or-
No, you set them up, that's enough.
Right, good enough.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Mark, and if you,
Right.
I'll be right back in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Wait, don't leave. All right, well, we don't have assigned time slots, so if we have to bounce around a little bit to fill the time, we won't be sitting in silence. Next item on the agenda, continuation of the public hearing for a request for amended order of conditions, Mass DEP file number 151265, Arch Street Development LLC for 15 Cottage Street. Design modifications to adjust grading and drainage, as well as the addition of 2 stormwater rain gardens.
They were supposed to come though for the last meeting.
And I
I
know
know.
someone
I
was coming
spoke with-
tonight.
I spoke with Colin on the phone and notified him that they needed to show.
Yep.
So are we continuing this to our next hearing? Oh God, what
This is a
that?
photo from Sunday, and so they pretty much had that road roughed out, so the water's now under control, a lot better.
The road
Okay.
itself is outside
No, but
wetlands
it's not
jurisdiction. Okay,
causing...
just clarifying,
We
it's in
shouldn't-
good
we shouldn't
shape?
get- Yeah, it's in good shape. We shouldn't get the runoff problems that have been occurring.
Because we do have a lot of rain in the forecast for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just what we
Dan,
need.
did you talk to them directly, or did you have a conversation with Michael?
I had a conversation with Michael like 4 weeks ago, pretty much, and then we emailed today just to, get an update or whatever. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't
Did
seem.
he know he was supposed to be here?
When I emailed today, I said it would be good. He asked. He said he couldn't make it. He asked if somebody else should attend. I responded basically, it would be good if somebody else could attend so that we can, answer any questions that we have. Because I missed the last meeting, so I'm not totally up to speed, but I've had communication with them since then. So,
So somebody else in the office may not have had
yeah,
knowledge of
possibly,
the project?
possibly.
Okay, so,
So I guess that just makes me nervous that they're kind of going down the path of what they submitted on the amended order of conditions, but right now,
Without having it approved?
yeah, it's not approved yet, so
So they're actively constructing what they put forth for an amendment?
I think so.
I'm not sure what they're constructing the road.
the road, but the
Yeah.
road is outside
Right.
Wetlands
Jurisdiction.
Protection Act jurisdiction because of the historic mill complex exemption.
Yeah.
So we only have
Okay.
a buffer zone, which the rain garden would, portions of both rain gardens, I believe, fall within the 100 buffer zone.
Yeah.
I can't say they're starting the
Yeah,
rain
cover it
gardens
does
yet.
that, yeah.
I know they're digging and connecting,
Right.
And there was a change about the permeable pavement too, wasn't
Yeah.
that part of it as well? That
That's
there was,
what the
they want to do the
Yeah.
rain garden as mitigation in lieu of the.
because the
permeable
parking
pavement, because
places
they,
went away
right,
So-
exactly.
to make the road not dig into the bank.
Right,
Or
okay.
make the parking not dig into the bank.
So
Go ahead, go ahead.
my understanding of the whole thing is that the permeable pavement was mitigation that they proposed for riverfront area impacts that are not going to happen anymore based on the changes that they made.
Correct.
So that they eliminated the permeable pavement. They proposed the rain gardens, not because they needed to for compliance, but just because they thought it would be a good thing to do. And then with the grading changes, there is a reduction in total site impervious surface from pre-project conditions.
I see.
So it's a significant reduction from what they proposed previously,
Right.
and somewhat of a reduction from the original
Okay.
initial condition,
So should I then email, or you're in communication with Michael? I mean, somebody needs to notify them when the next date is, I feel like, just as a follow-up, and then just let them know that the hearing is,
yeah,
if you make the motion to continue it.
yeah.
I would,
I mean,
I
I
mean,
can certainly contact Colin and Rich because I have a working relationship with them. I haven't had any relationship with Michael at this point, so, on
Yeah.
this project.
I mean, I guess I don't. I mean, we could act on it unless people aren't totally comfortable with what's happening.
so is the information that you've received and reviewed sufficient?
The information that I've received and reviewed is sufficient to demonstrate, that they're not increasing impacts
Okay.
compared to what we previously approved, and that they didn't eliminate some mitigation measure that is still needed for something, basically.
So that said, I don't think a project proponent presence is required at this point. They knew we were meeting tonight. They knew we were discussing this tonight. If they provided all the information, I think we can discuss conditions for the amended order. And make a motion if we would like to include any conditions, or we can discuss pushing it back so that they can just be present for that discussion at the next meeting.
Yeah, I guess now that I said all that, maybe it would make sense to push it back, just in case we have questions that we're discussing conditions.
Okay.
Because, for example, if they have an issue with the road being a dam, that means they can't do that rain garden anymore or something like that.
Is the road definitely a dam?
Yeah. Yep.
The access road going in?
No, the
Cottage.
Cottage Street.
Yes, I've learned that
Yeah.
clearly lately.
Yeah.
Cottage Street itself is a dam.
Cottage
Yes.
itself is not Ashwaubenon Pond Dam.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we should. I mean, if they're not begging for it, and we still,
That's fine.
yeah, maybe we should put it off.
We are, it's acceptable either way.
Well, let's move it to the 25th then.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that a motion?
I'll make a motion that we move the Arch Street development meeting to the 25th.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay. All right, next item, continuation of the public hearing for notice and intent, Mass DEP file number 151280, Easthampton Conservation Trust Brickyard Brook Conservation Area Culvert Repair Replacement Project.
Right, so Bill can't make it tonight, I guess, so he and Mark are working together and trying to speed this up and get in contact with DEP, and so I'll let Mark.
Sure. Yeah. We are now working with the Squamish Conservation Trust to amend the plans to meet DEP's concerns or questions. I have some questions of my own for Tim McKenna regarding the need for the total replacement of the culvert if the first section of the pipes removed and the stream channel is reconstructed, then that's the area that's degraded and collapsed in, and all the problems that have occurred. So I want to discuss that with him. It's going, that would be a major expense in alteration to replace that entire culvert all the way through. I think in looking at it, the previous owner has improperly installed culverts that have collapsed and come apart, and that there are also different sizes in there of pipe. He used whatever he had hanging around. So we'd like to continue it into your meeting on the 25th. And then we will come in with some revised plans at that point in time.
So just for context sake, you're talking about potentially modifying the design in accordance with the 401 water quality cert
Bill mentioned that,
regulations.
yeah.
Which is not, they have standards and criteria incorporated into the regulations that aren't part of the Wetlands Protection Act. So that's where this is
Okay.
getting muddy. So, that said, would anyone care to make a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion that we move the discussion for the Brickyard Brook Conservation Area to the 25th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And
Okay.
on the other end, is there anything new on an
Did you see the
exculpation?
pictures of the?
No, I didn't have a chance to look at the photos, but people have been out. I guess it's my understanding that the DPW crews observed the property owner's equipment in action. I guess the question for me pertains to whether or not that upgradient of the culvert is jurisdictional under the Wetlands Protection Act. We have had a similar situation on a property where runoff from an adjacent property has eroded jurisdictional areas, including the bank of a stream, caused sedimentation. The problem there, it's slightly apples and oranges, but the problem there being that the property from which the runoff originates was legally and lawfully developed at the time it was constructed, and there have been no material changes, so they haven't done something that has changed anything from the time that they did develop their site. So the advice when we consulted DEP was that it's difficult, that's a very difficult situation to chase, and I guess in terms of jurisdiction and having physically a presence to pursue this, if we would have more jurisdiction or clearer jurisdiction under the stormwater ordinance. I'm looking at you.
Right.
The stormwater ordinance.
Well, I mean, I guess it's almost like it's two separate issues. One right at the culvert, but below the road,
Yeah,
which
which
is
is not our, issue, but not directly anyway. I mean, indirectly it was causing the trouble, yes, but, I mean, it's not our fault.
No, it's not.
Well, none of it is our fault.
right. Yeah.
So,
I mean, so yeah, so I guess with the culvert going into the road, there appears to have been an alteration there. Then,
An alteration under the stormwater ordinance?
well, I'd say Wetland Protection Act.
Well, there's sedimentation.
Well, somebody
dug-
excavated
Excavated next
right
to the
within the
stream,
stream
or in
channel,
the stream
at,
channel.
at the culvert entrance.
So, but then my question is that a jurisdictional stream at that point? And in order to figure that out, we need to be invited onto the property.
Well, we can see it from we can see it from the road to make a decision.
Yeah.
So whether or not the channel is jurisdictional,
We can see it
Upgradient
from
of
properties
that.
that were invited to,
okay.
so we know downstream that it's a stream.
Sure.
Okay.
A channel doesn't become jurisdictional until it originates from a jurisdictional wetland resource area, like an area with 50% or more wetland plants,
Okay.
or a pond or a lake or something like that, or until that point at which it intersects with and flows through an area that's 50% or more wetland plant species, which is just the way the Wetlands
Right.
Protection Act regulations are written. And so I'm wondering if we can make that determination.
We probably can't make that determination upstream from looking from the road. You can't see.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we need to
Noted.
ask for an invitation onto the property.
Which is unlikely given you're chasing him down for another enforcement order, and he won't answer our calls or emails. But we can continue to try.
Okay, so I guess our course of action is going to be to contact Mr. Gall in writing, requesting a site visit at this location to view the channel upgrading of the roadway and the culvert inlet, to make a determination as to whether or not it's jurisdictional under the Wetlands Protection Act or the Stormwater Ordinance or both.
The other piece that, again, my institutional knowledge is not long enough, but my understanding is that that piece of property, I believe, had a subdivision plan, approved subdivision plan on it. Now, when it was approved, I don't know, but if we go into the assessor's GIS, it appears to be a paper street because there's a street name coming off of that access point that's different from East Street. So to me, that means that there was a subdivision plan with a subdivision street name filed. Now, it was probably filed before the stormwater ordinance was ever put into place, so. More than likely. So I don't know if that somehow impacts to be able to do the jurisdictional enforcement under the Stormwater Act because it was a subdivision plan that was, I don't know. I don't know if it's grandfathered under whatever. So that's something I think that we would need to think about and research a little bit and just be clear on that. So I can go into the registry of deeds and I can do a little bit of research and see if I can find a subdivision plan that was filed in that location and dig around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something you can do between this week and next week?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, another issue too with the stormwater ordinance would be that if there is similar to what we experienced over on Highland Ave, if it turns out that the activity is a agriculturally exempt thing or something like that, then then that option goes away.
If he's just clearing trees as like a lumber kind of thing?
Yeah, and when I
In order for that to be agriculturally exempt, it has to be a state-approved forestry plan.
okay, and the other thing is if you look in Google Earth, it looks like whatever's
Yeah.
going on has been going on for a while, and a lot of it's
Right.
under the utility right of way that's
Right.
up there. So it's
Well, that's why I wonder if it's part of the subdivision plan, whether the plan was approved and it was in place, and then he went on there starting to clear because he had an approved subdivision plan, and then just didn't develop it for whatever reason. Other projects came up and he just halted and I don't know.
So then why did he start digging at the culvert?
Because
I don't expect an answer.
Rhetorical question.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be rhetorical. Okay.
So I think we have to do some research before we can do any.
yeah.
Contacting. It would be useful I can draft later this week maybe, or early next week, I can draft a letter regarding.
Have it ready to go.
And have it ready to go.
Okay.
It would be good to look at the DP wetland layer and see how that's all comes together over there. When does DEP get involved in enforcement for?
Whenever they feel like it.
The main problem there, one of the big problems there is going to be, rechanneling the stream to make it like it was before. I mean, that's been rechanneled a couple times already.
Yeah.
Not you. Okay, so are you talking about the channel on the Brickyard Brook property or on the upgraded?
Yeah,
So it has,
that wasn't channeled, rechanneled across East Street as far as I know,
okay,
but Bernie did fill around a couple times on our property, or between Bill's property and the next house. Yeah. Not only that, but the boundary markers were also changed too.
okay, so these are all issues that we can't deal with.
Hey, Bill Burgart can tell you a lot of freak stories about that.
Okay, so we also need a. Mr. Bader, could you remind me again what your email is, please?
Pardon?
Your email, so that I could email you a draft.
J.
segment.
Bushman 59 at verizon.net.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna try to create a PDF of a parcel plan with an aerial in the background of both subject areas and share it with you and just make sure I have the right area identified.
Has anybody reached out just to ask, the property owner what's going on?
We've been trying to contact him for
can't
something
even-
else and he won't respond.
Okay.
So if he does come wandering into my office, I'll surely bring it up. But I think he's avoiding me.
Okay, So with that, we've continued your hearing to the 25th. We'll see you then. And if not, if we're not in touch, if not sooner, when we're in touch about this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Can I bring up something on the original topic? The
Sure.
Brickyard Brook. Yeah. So I guess the issues that we had for the original proposal were just about plan for water control and restoration planting plan. Just so you know that we know and we know that you know and everything like
Right.
that.
And that's what I feel is the solution is to restore the channel and do the restoration work in there. The pipes are not needed, that are all collapsed and in the brook channel that was there. Gonna get it back to what it was supposed to be. So.
Yep. All right.
If you need any of the meeting minutes from previous discussions, they're in the binder.
Okay, I'll check with Jessica.
And Jessica has them, and
Hmm?
Chris could always PDF or send them off to you.
Hmm? Okay.
And I'm pretty sure we're caught up to speed with Barbara Bombard, so.
Hmm?
All right.
Good,
Thank you both.
Hey, man. Okay,
All right.
see you
Have a
next.
good night.
I was gonna just stick around for
Okay.
a couple more.
So I actually have a technical question for Jessica, because I see a gentleman here who looks like he's from Berkshire Design Group.
Switch seats.
Since no one was present for the discussion and left, can we
You could reopen the public.
reopen the public
Sure.
hearing?
You could
Okay.
reopen it.
So.
As far as I know. I'm not an
That's
expert about it.
All right, so we will now reopen.
How are you?
The continuation of the public hearing for the request for amended order of conditions, Mass DEP file number 151265, Arch Street Development LLC, 15 Cottage Street, design modifications to adjust grading and drainage, as well as the addition of 2 stormwater rain gardens. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Peter Wells. I'm with Berkshire Design Group. Mike Liu, who was running the project, couldn't make it tonight, so I'm sitting in for him. Do you want me to present, or I did come with some additional information that was requested at the previous
Okay,
hearing.
I guess if you could just present that information.
Sure.
I think we all received copies of it, but
Yeah, its site coverage calculations were requested with regard to pre-construction conditions, post-construction as originally approved in the order of conditions, and post-construction that we have proposed with the amended changes. And if you move to the third column on coverage, existing coverage was 51.5% of the site, was both building and impervious. Post-construction as approved was 52.6%, a slight increase. And then post-construction with the changes that we made by taking out the parking area, taking out the sidewalk, we're down to 49.8% of coverage. So we've reduced it 5,000 to 6,000 square feet of coverage, which in general helps the project.
great.
So that's what I came with. I'm not sure if we need a presentation with regard to what has changed, but I'd be happy to do that if the commission wants me to.
I don't feel I need it personally. Does
You were the only one that
anyone else?
wasn't here when that
Yeah. So
discussion occurred.
I missed the hearing a little ago, but Mike did present, I think, this plan the
Yeah.
meeting before that. So I think I just wanted to kind of make sure that everybody was on the same page at the same time, basically.
Sure.
Yeah. And so the other questions that we had, I understand, is just that the rain gardens that were proposed are proposed not because they're needed for stormwater compliance.
Correct.
Okay.
They're just there as an additional low impact development technique, just to add to the project. That's what was originally approved with parking, with a sidewalk.
Yeah.
The roadway was pushed out a bit And what was revised is the parking taken out. This roadway was pushed into the site a little bit more because of the water that we hit on the slopes. And the sidewalk now that runs down to here becomes a rain garden.
Would you mind flipping that over so we're looking at?
Yeah, I know.
Or
Right side
flipping
up
the
also.
other one so that we're looking at the text the right way there.
Sure.
Yep. Perfect, thank you.
And we've also added a rain garden in what we're calling the moat area, which is below the bridge. So it's some nice additions, I think. Less pavement, more treatment, and a bit greener project.
Keeping in mind that you haven't been the primary person working on this, have you worked on it?
Yeah, I've been
Okay.
working on this for 8 years now.
Okay, so you have
I'm the
enough
principal.
familiarity. Oh, you
I'm
are
the
the principal on the
principal,
project. Well, then I apologize.
I was working on this when the taxes were owed. And the developer went belly up.
Oh dear, okay. Well, that said, it was mentioned maybe before you walked into the room that in this location, Cottage Street is the dam for Nashwanik Pond. And is there any concern with potential interference between the proposed rain garden in the moat area and the function of the dam?
Right, that was brought to our attention at the last meeting. Dan
Okay.
mentioned that. And we are looking into that, both
Okay.
for this project and also we may consider talking at least a little bit about the Promenade project. So we are looking into that.
Okay.
Recently, we did do a hydraulic analysis of the pond itself and some historical research on the 1955 flood, also the 36 flood, to see what size storm events they were and what happened. And we were doing it mainly because we're looking at our structural integrity of where our building crosses over the
Did the
canal.
36 flood cause a breach, or was that just the 55?
Just 55. And some great footage of it too, online.
Oh, I didn't.
It's really nice.
I don't know what I'm doing later. All right, well, that said, that process is independent of ours.
Yep.
Or our process is independent of those.
Yep.
So with that in mind, would we like to discuss, I'd like to discuss conditions.
Yeah,
of
let's-
The amended order. So, I guess one thing that's kind of become a standard to help us keep up on projects is weekly summaries by email. It can be associated with the weekly SWIP inspections, but basically just a weekly email of the work that has occurred in jurisdiction, if there have been any problems, such as erosion sedimentation. And it seems like they've kind of got a much better handle on that now.
Yeah.
But that was a twice recurring problem before it was figured out.
Okay.
Is everything gonna be okay for tomorrow's rainstorm too? That
Jay
was
had a
the-
photo.
I went there Sunday and it looks like it's in good shape, so we'll see what we get for rain.
Yeah,
So you guys should keep an eye on it tomorrow, or somebody should, and
yeah. I stopped up there prior to this meeting and everything looked pretty tight. You know.
So,
And that weekly summary or email should go to,
conservation@easthampton.org.
okay.
Any other, does anyone else have anything in mind?
They don't have anything in mind.
So I get confused about the projects going on. Do we have, there's a stormwater pollution prevention
There's a
plan
SWIP
for
now.
this
Yes.
one? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, all right. And so I guess I assume that all the changes get incorporated into that or whatever. Yep, okay. I mean, maybe if there was a copy that you could forward to us, that would be good to
We
have.
have a copy of it.
Oh, a revised one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a question? Even though
Yes.
I'm not a board member. What's the maintenance going to be for the rain gardens? And is there a maintenance that needs to happen with them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's,
Okay, and is that in the SWIP or is that somewhere?
that would not be the SWIP, that would be the stormwater O&M,
Right.
but this was exempt from stormwater, so it doesn't fall within the commission's purview because
doesn't.
of,
Okay.
this is an odd set of circumstances because of
The exemptions.
historic mill complex exemption and the way the stormwater standards are written and when it was permitted, and
Mhm.
so,
So would you want to file something with the planning board then as part of their documents in
Or they-
regards to that?
rain garden maintenance.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if it
what the
was.
reason.
I don't know either. I'm putting that out there as,
There
we
was-
can talk about it after. I
Yeah.
don't want to interrupt there.
There was discussion last time about it being a regularly scheduled part of the landscape maintenance, and they were going to have special qualified people taking care of it. So
The thing that's nice about rain gardens is it's hard to forget about them in terms of maintenance.
All the plants are dead.
What's that?
All the plants are dead.
Well, yeah.
So if it were a stormwater management compliance feature, it would be
Right.
a very detailed prescription. And I would imagine the same general considerations would be followed
Yeah.
because the function is the same. It's just the regulatory intent that's different. Okay, so I guess in addition to the original conditions, special conditions, I would suggest we consider a weekly summary via email with the SWIP weekly compliance inspection reports.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone care to suggest that as a motion? Since I'm.
But the SWIP would come from the contractor,
Yeah.
if you don't want
But
copies of that.
the permit's the permit, so if they provide it to you, you could forward it to us, they could provide it separately.
Okay.
However it happens, the general rule of thumb is, by end of business Friday.
I'll make a motion that we approve the amended order conditions for Arch Street Development, 15 Cottage Street, with weekly updates as well as the previous requirements,
Second.
conditions.
Is there a second on this?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Moved. Your paperwork will be ready for you by August 25th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, so it could be either or, do you want both? Both, copy of the SWIP and update?
More is better.
Good.
Given, I firmly believe that things are well in hand with regard to stormwater pollution prevention, but given the problems that were experienced earlier this spring, I'd be happier seeing both.
Okay.
I'd be happier that the contractor's staying on top of it without sending a commission member out there on a weekly basis. That's
Okay.
my general feel.
No problem.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so, at the present time, we have no request for certificate of compliance, but we did receive on August 4th for the August 25th meeting agenda, request for partial certificates of compliance for Treehouse, 18 Button Road, Lot 10.
Yes.
And Mark just dropped a hard copy off, or there was a hard copy in the mail, sorry.
Yes, yeah, for 10 and 11.
For 10, yeah, okay, this only says, oh, is
And
this
there's
two
another one.
separate?
Yeah, there's two separate ones.
Ah, tricky, okay, sorry.
So those are the first two on the left when you go over the crossing.
Okay. There's two more, so 10 and 11, okay. Do you want to just, did these have monumentation in the backyards? Mark?
Yes, they did. Previously, those were submitted and there are monuments.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Out there.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you for all the work that you do.
Thanks. All right, so, does anyone, go ahead. I think we have these electronically as well.
Can I see?
Yes.
See.
And emailed them to each site. Here's the lot 11. So would anyone be open to scheduling a site visit for sure, but that would never. Okay, calendar's out.
Tax-free Saturday.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I can do the 18th, but if others are available on the 18th.
It's the 16th. It's, you're saying the 18th Monday?
Oh, those are listed as site visits. Why are they listed as site visits? Because that's silly. Oh, because it's alternate Mondays. Would anybody be willing to do Monday the 18th at 5:30?
That works for me.
Out of
No,
town.
Out of town.
I mean,
Don't
it's
remember.
a week from now.
I know.
You don't know where you're gonna be.
It could change.
I mean, I guess you could
I think I'm good.
go at any point in time
They're just not
to see the site. I mean, it's
Yeah. Well, maybe we do it that way. If folks want to do a drive-by site visit, are the houses occupied?
yes, they are.
Okay.
People are
Aware of the process?
aware of the process and waiting
Is
for
there-
the hay bales and silt fence to be removed in their backyard.
So I guess
So-
my suggestion would be if anyone, so since everyone received the paperwork, if you are going to do so, contact Mark or Ann. Are you the,
Yeah,
who's the better?
I'm closest because
Okay.
Ann's not close
Right,
by,
she's
so.
not nearby.
And you're, feel free to just stop by and introduce yourself if there's somebody home.
I don't want to do like a total, I don't want anyone to intrude upon their
Yeah.
time at home without being announced. So if you think you're going to be able to stop by and can contact Mark so that he can put you in touch or contact the owners just to say that you're stopping by, I guess do that. And we have these electronically as well, so we can get these for Okay.
Right.
Anything else on this?
Nope,
This will be on the
that's-
August 25th agenda.
Okay, that's fine.
So,
Perfect.
I'm not seeing them electronically. Do they come from conservation?
they came from Anne,
Okay.
I don't remember
but
getting
maybe
them, but-
she, okay, so I'll look into forwarding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Just don't remember seeing them.
Sure. All right. So that said, we have no emergency certs at the present time. Our enforcement orders are as they last stood. Okay, so we are trying to get in touch with the owners to schedule the follow-up site visits. That said, I'm inclined to change our approach and just say, send written notification saying, we're gonna show up at this time on this date.
Time.
Be there.
See you then, or we have the authority to enter the properties because of the enforcement orders. So, we're
I think that
already
might be a better
well
approach at this
into
point.
the growing season. So I would,
So what are we waiting for from Beagle? It is
we were just
a
trying
site
to
visit.
contact,
Both
both
of them.
both are site visits.
Both are site visits, and that's so we think that they did what they were supposed to do, and we just
And
need
we
to
wanna
confirm
confirm
that they
that.
did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
so I will,
Hard to keep track over long periods
well,
of
and
time.
that's the problem, and that's why a person, a staff person on board, even on a part-time basis, to manage these details would be beneficial.
Indeed.
And this would be the choir.
This would be the
Check the
choir.
addresses. I feel like we've determined that one was not it was like 30 and 67 or 60 and 37. They weren't both.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know a lot about what's going on, but these little things.
I'll check them
stick in
again.
my mind.
Confirm street numbers. Okay, and I'll draft letters. So, with regard to the South Street property, Mr. Gall, 30-something South Street, EO 2013-001. Do we want to say, you're out of town, whoa, that's not what I meant. So, it's the 24th. Ooh, the morning of the 24th? That's Wednesday.
Is that a Saturday?
It's a Sunday.
That's Sunday, sorry, you're right. The morning?
Sure.
Is that okay? If we were to say,
What do you consider morning?
What is is that a Saturday?
it's a Sunday, I
Sunday.
apologize, it's a Sunday. So we could do the 23rd, if folks would prefer a Saturday to a Sunday. That's what I was waiting for.
D2R2 is on Saturday. I'm not doing it. I know. Dan, are you doing the D2R? I'm not Dan, you're Dan.
No, my dad is not doing the D2R2.
What's the D2R?
Deerfield Dirt Road Rondonnée. It's the Franklin Land Trust's biggest fundraiser at the present time.
What sort of fundraiser is it?
It is
They
a
raise money.
back-breaking bike ride designed by Cindy Whittlesey.
I've done one of those before, and it was not good.
And that was the easy one. It was not the D2R2.
No, it was the food bank ride
Yeah.
of death.
It's a different.
50 miles with every hill in Westhampton, Chesterfield,
So
Huntington.
D2R2 is all of the hills that are on dirt roads.
The rest of the hills.
But in Franklin County.
In
Yeah. Beautiful. And I don't they go into Vermont on like the big
Maybe a little bit.
Oh.
Maybe a little bit.
I guess if it's the morning, that's okay, but that's the Hootenanny in Hubbardston.
Okay, so would 10 o'clock? 10:30?
That can work, 10
Sure.
o'clock's fine. Oh, yeah, no, just
10:30 would be great.
8 o'clock on Sunday, that's all.
So you prefer
You
8 o'clock
prefer 8
Sunday?
No, I didn't want 8 o'clock on Sunday.
So Jay said 8 o'clock Sunday. Let's say 10:30 Saturday.
Great.
Okay, so that's the South Street. So that's 8.
Should we do them one after the other?
My only concern. Well, we could do that.
Hopefully I'll
So
survive
we
to
should
see
say
them.
11,
So-
11:30 or
We could say
Sorry, 10.
11:30, or
10:30,
say
11:30, 10, 11.
Well, that's my only concern with
Mhm.
staggering them. We could say we will for Mr. Edward Gall's property on Loudville Road. We could say Saturday, August 23rd, between 11 and 11. We will be there between 11 and
Yeah.
11:30.
So we'll do one at 10:30
Yeah.
and say we'll be there between 11 and 11:30 for the next one.
And that will allow us flexibility for.
Is one going to be quicker than the other? Because we'll do the good one first.
Well, we're doing them in order of magnitude.
Great.
Greater one comes first.
Okay.
Okay, so great. I will add that to my list. I will draft those letters. Again. Okay, compliance updates, active projects, open permits. City of Easthampton fish ladder, DEP file number 151261. Nothing?
Nothing's happening. We think it's complete, but we haven't heard from Jim.
Okay. Next item, Paul Street Extension, Gillian Estates, DEP file number 151269, which is valid until November 28th, 2014. Are you here on their behalf?
Yes,
You are? Okay, great. What's going
Yes.
on? Why aren't we getting weekly reports? You did.
you did.
We did?
We got a month.
I'm sorry,
We
I
got a
missed
monthly
that one.
report, didn't we?
Well, that's for last month, and then you past 2 weeks you've been getting weekly reports.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed those emails.
I
Right.
think it came late. That one came late. The other two came
Yeah, it
late.
was about
Thanks for
6:30
trying.
Friday night. I was working late.
End of this.
Okay.
So, and then I did a follow-up email today, this afternoon. There was a small area of erosion that was, he put in a secondary silt fence that wasn't shown on the plans up at the top of the slope.
Within the approved limits of work or outside?
No, within the
Okay.
approved limits of work area, so I did a
Okay,
follow-up.
more.
He corrected that.
Okay.
Yeah, more is better. I mean, it's the second row. And he corrected that issue.
Okay.
But he asked me to speak to the board tonight about Lot 2, which is a concern of a tree that has fallen down in the backyard, and another tree that looks like it's going to come down and hit the house.
Wow.
So what has destabilized these trees?
I think nothing is destabilized them. I think what is the issue is that, this was more trees here to begin with.
So it wasn't
So-
clear that they were hazards?
So now that there's no trees here, they're stretching for the sun. They're moving towards the sun. This one was clearly rotted and luckily fell down and didn't hit anything.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah, that's good.
talking. Okay, well that can clearly
But this
be
is, the
removed.
new homeowner for Lot 2 is concerned with this tree here. Right now, you should see it's just on the other side of the silt fence, into the wooded area. No activity has occurred in there, but now it's just kind of stretching for the open sunlight. He's concerned if it does come down, it's going to come down onto the house.
So,
Are they uprooting or are they breaking the trunks?
Well, that was rotted, so.
Yeah, this one was rotted.
Yeah.
So it just broke off right at the ground elevation. This one, depending on a windstorm or whatever,
Yeah.
who knows how it's going to come down. So we could do a site visit out there or look at it. It appears that it's a relatively healthy tree, but the concern is it's leaning right towards the house. So he's a little nervous about that. Oops.
the owner's a little bit.
The new owners of the house.
You said this is on lot 2?
That's Lot 2. It was attached to the email I sent today,
Okay.
so you have that picture.
So what's the question?
Well,
Can they take it down or?
Right, right. We would need your permission to take it down because it's beyond the limit of work area. Just to cut the tree down.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
I mean, we're not going to take the stumps out, just to cut the
Yeah,
tree.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
just the one
And
tree.
right, it's the one tree. So
So it's a. if you
David
were-
wanted to make sure that you were okay with taking the tree down.
If
before he
the
did
line
anything
had
to
been
it.
drawn differently on the plan, it would have been taken down already.
Correct.
With
And
no
we're
different-
talking about a difference of 2 feet?
Correct.
What
So-
kind of tree is it?
Yeah.
It's a weird looking tree.
Yeah, I think it may be even an older poplar tree. And typically those are.
Interesting. It's gunning for him.
Yeah, it is.
It looks like it's leaning over into
Maybe it just wants
the
to
work
work.
area.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you draw a vertical line.
You can cut it off where it intersects.
Yeah.
No.
So we, he
I have
didn't
no-
want to do anything without
Thank you.
permission from the commission.
I'm of the opinion that had the line been drawn on the original work plan, we're looking at what size, 6 inch, 8 inch?
Yeah, it looks like about a 8-inch tree max.
Yeah.
And it's not going to significantly affect the overall canopy at that location. So I have, as long as it's, the stump remains
Yeah.
in place, I don't have any issues with them taking it down. And not felling it into the other trees. They need to
Well, yeah, it's going to
remove
come.
it. Well, I understand that,
towards the house, right.
but it's to be removed. It's not to be
Correct.
tossed
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
into the,
Oops.
yeah.
gotcha.
Anyone else?
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with
No?
it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
Easthampton Savings Bank parking lot.
August sometime.
August.
I sent a report. The
Okay.
work is completed in one day for that project. I got hard copies of the reports if you like them.
Could I see that one?
The hard copy of the report. Yeah.
So I think they got to conservation, but they didn't get to us.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
I think that's what happens when someone goes on vacation.
So the work is completed. I did a report on Friday. Hopefully we don't get a ton of rain tomorrow, because it's all nice and loam and seeded.
Has it been mulched?
So,
It doesn't look like it's been mulched.
no, it's just loam and seeded.
Are the hay bales and silt fence
Yes.
still intact? So,
Yes, they are.
I mean, I
I
realize
haven't
it's
seen
gonna be a
it
pain in the
since
butt
Yeah,
and a
they're,
waste of effort, but
yeah.
at least there's a barrier intact.
Yeah, they're all intact,
And
so.
perhaps.
But the request by the abutter to the property is that the silt fence be removed from O'Neill Street to the back of the woods line. And I got pictures of that
Thank you.
area, which is all stable.
Okay,
And now it's mixed in with all the weeds that you see.
so,
This is all weeded here,
okay.
through here, so they like to try to clean up the area
So just that limit of
Correct.
silt fence,
to be removed.
since that won't be affected by any potential erosion and sedimentation, I have no problem with the removal of that section of silt fence.
Sounds fine to me.
Here's the, you got our copy of the one
Thank you.
from today.
Thanks, Mark. Okay.
Same notes.
All right.
All right, thank you. I'll
Thanks,
leave those
Mike.
pictures with you and,
Great, appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for hanging around.
no,
Yeah,
no
sure
problem.
thing, At every meeting we have.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Run.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.
Okay, next item, Pleasant Street Mills, 151273.
I went out there today to take a look at stuff. There is grass growing in some locations, and other locations it's not.
Is there any erosion where it's not? Or
I didn't see any. Some of the silt fences were coming down again in a couple locations, but again, I think it's people who are just trying to access the mills and are taking things down. So my last discussion with the contractor is that he intended to keep an eye on it and come back as needed in September when grass will grow a little bit better.
That's not the way the song goes.
I mean, I'm getting it from all sorts of different construction projects that it's really hard to grow grass right now.
Yeah, it's
So-
summer.
So, you know,
Yeah,
it's there, it's sitting there, you can see the grass seed, and in some places it's taking, in some places it's not.
okay.
Did they correct some of those areas where the silt fences were kind of buried?
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
All right. Concertina wire silt fence. I think that's going to be my next invention.
I do not want to work on your projects. Okay, Glendale, Loudville, West Pomeroy Meadow. I received an email requesting a site meeting with project proponents, the contractor, and
You
New
did
England
see that.
Environmental
Yeah.
regarding.
And who?
New England Environmental is like the third-party environmental consultant for restoration.
Oh. I think my head's about to explode.
Why? In general,
There's
or?
an email out there.
Yeah, I didn't see the email, but I guess that doesn't mean that I didn't get it by any means.
I read all of them today.
Okay. So that needs to be scheduled.
What do they want? Other than a meeting?
Schedule it for 5:15 on the weekend.
So you don't need many people, just enough people? Oh, great. I like that.
Or you can come, you can just walk down.
I could.
You could.
Would you like me to?
I'll let you know when it is.
Educational, yeah.
I'll let everyone know when it is,
Okay.
and whoever can make it, can make it. 8 Old Stagecoach Road?
Yeah, their project's complete. I talked to someone about getting them to submit the C, or come here and get a CFC, but I want the email to bug him again, that's all.
Okay.
So Mark will dig that up for me
Okay.
tomorrow.
Great. No need to update on Cottage Square Apartments, formerly Nashwanik Mills. Nashwanik Park Promenade, 151278.
We're awaiting a determination from the Office of Dam Safety.
Great. Connecticut River Octopus Boating Facility, done?
It looks done. so,
Okay, I'll email Terry. All right. We received an email going on to general business, shared conservation agent update, the need for which is painfully clear anytime we get presented with violations. So, we got an update saying the report was pending.
It's on its way.
Okay, that's the update.
Are there gonna be dollar values in there for each of the options that they?
Boy, I hope so. It's been going on since January. It better be the meatiest report ever.
I mean, that's what we really need, you know, is
I want to hear a nice
dollars.
thunk when it hits the table.
My fear is that the report is going to be drafted in such a way that the best option is to hire PVPC through their shared conservation agent program for $1,500 for 20 hours worth of time.
20 hours, and it's 20 hours over the course of the year?
Throughout the whole year, which is
Okay.
not enough time for us.
20 hours is not enough time. And just out of curiosity.
It's a pretty high overhead rate.
So we would get the cream of the crop. Sorry, I had to say it. Okay, I can't hit the right button. Clear. Yeah, you're getting it in here.
So anyway, so we'll wait and see what the report says, but it basically presented that there would be three options. You know, that we would share somebody with Southampton, we would hire somebody on our own.
To be fair, 20 hours is probably enough to dig into one conservation parcel,
Right.
which,
You know, we need so many different things that I just feel like it's not enough time and their rate is just too high. That if we could, you know, if we could contract out with somebody, you know, there's a lot of different options. So I'd like to see what the report says first, but, you
Yeah.
know, to hire PVPC for 20 hours, I mean, we could set it up for as many hours as whatever we want, but we're paying that
right,
premium rate.
right, and really,
So, and I feel like what we need, I mean, I think it was clear tonight, is we want somebody who is available for enforcement here in town, not in Springfield, not, you know, can only
Right.
make it when they can kind of make it kind of thing.
right,
We want somebody who's going to be here, available to go out on site when that call comes in from whoever, DEP or a concerned citizen, you know, so.
Yep.
I mean, between the amount of background work and catching up there is to do on open space conservation land, including the things that you mentioned about the 2 CRs that need to be prepared and recorded for
Right.
2 different properties.
Right.
One is the Fox Run subdivision off Hendrick Street. Apparently the CR is to be held by the Conservation Commission.
Although I did run into a developer who's building the houses there, and he said no, that the city didn't want it, or the Conservation Commission
I seem to
didn't want it.
recall we kind of,
So that it's held as part of the homeowner association, but the agreement that's on the registry says that it's to be owned by the city, so the homeowner agreement never was updated to reflect what actually
okay, because
happened.
I seem to recall,
And it shows that it's still owned by the original property owner.
okay. So what I have a recollection of is a couple of subdivisions that had absolutely no wetlands jurisdiction, and at the time, we had even less active involvement, and we passed.
Right.
Because there wasn't even discussion of land stewardship.
Right.
And to take on something that didn't even pertain to the jurisdiction we were pursuing was not in our interest. What about Lathrop, though?
Lathrop is another one that definitely needs to have a CR filed. And we've had, I mean, there's been some discussions between some of the folks at Lathrop trying to re-engage the attorney that was used by Lathrop as part of it, Ed Etheridge. So he has the files. I mean, the only thing that I have is the cover sheet of the CR that was faxed to somebody because it has somebody's name on it that it was faxed to, and that's it. That's all I have is this cover sheet with Stuart's handwriting on
Does
it.
every CR go through Boston?
I don't know.
Or
I mean,
my only
no.
involvement is like public.
Well, I'm just trying to think for the Donate property, yeah, we did go to Boston for
So-
review.
So
Is that the one we just did, that we came back and forth a couple
Yeah.
times? Yeah.
So anyway, so there's definitely things to be cleaned up, and I have had a discussion, the Conway School is,
oh, that's right.
they're interested in possibly, they're still trying to figure it out, but they'd like to try to organize like a satellite campus for a school year in Easthampton and work on a variety of different planning projects throughout the region, but also focusing on some Easthampton stuff. And so I put the idea out to them of, you know, we could really use somebody who would create this public booklet that would map all the properties, show where the public parking is, have a little write-up, or, you know, are dogs allowed, are they not allowed? You know, is the public allowed? You know, how long is the trails? Where is the trails? You know,
Are there trails?
Are there trails? So that we can better market some of these properties, and if we market them and people start to use them, then there will be a better stewardship of them. If nobody's using them, the stewardship's not gonna happen. So anyway, so we've had that discussion, you know, I don't know where that's gonna go, but. Yes,
Did you want to say something?
No.
You looked like you were.
yes, go ahead. No?
No.
He looked very much.
Came
like
and
he
went.
was gonna say something.
Happens all the time. Okay.
Think about it.
If we could, if there's anything we can do to encourage them to, you know, invite
Conway?
invite them in, talk about.
They have to figure out, they have to go back to their board of directors and hash out some stuff. So if the board of directors accepts the proposal, because there's a professor who's been working on this proposal, if they accept the proposal to try to engage Easthampton, then there'll be something more to talk about. But until that happens, there's really not much to.
Okay.
All right, couple of follow-up questions. For the PVPC shared conservation rate, $1,500 a year gets 20 hours.
At $75 an hour.
Yep. Do they have, are there other grant monies that support that? Like, you know, are we helping, you know, is $75 an hour, you know, what that person, you know, what that
Melissa has
person's
the
rate,
letter.
or is there
I have the
a,
letter.
You have the letter.
Oh, here's the letter.
that was a letter?
So I think that they would apply for other grants to support,
Yep.
But
that they would have to apply for the
base.
grants to support.
Yep.
So it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, not guaranteed. Okay, and the discussion that you were just talking about with the two parcels that don't have CRs, did we
Well, one
talk
of-
about that before?
I think so. One of them definitely, I think one of them maybe is off the table now, based on that new information that I learned about the Fox Run. But Lathrop definitely, a CR needs to be done.
When was that all permitted and constructed? Do you
90s?
recall? Yeah, it's been a while.
I think that, I want to say the Hampton East condo also has a open space area that they hold.
As part of their homeowner, or the
Yeah, because I remember,
condo association kind of.
you know, Stuart and Kelly, you know, going back and forth about something like, you know, something like that,
Okay,
you know.
all right.
Anyway,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's as far as I could reach anyway, so. All right. We talked about the culvert work adjacent to 398 East Street. So the problem, the difficulty I see with this is something I did touch upon a bit, but harking back to the McDonald's Bernie Gall issue with runoff causing erosion, my conversation with David Fallis last winter at DEP, where he basically said, you know, the burden's on the commission to demonstrate that, scientifically demonstrate that the problem, the chain of reaction,
Yeah.
chain reaction of events there, and that it's at that location further complicated by the fact that the property was legally and lawfully developed and that there have been no material changes. So it's not like they had a problem with runoff pooling in that corner and cut the, you know, provided a curb cut to relieve it. There was the curb cut there originally. So it showed on the original plans. So my other concern is that, memories being what they are, similar situation, that if it's a clearer case of jurisdiction under the stormwater ordinance, that might be the better vehicle for bringing activities into compliance and good environmental practices than the Wetlands Protection Act.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, you can see the results of the problem. It's pretty obvious, but you can't, you know, it's hard to point at the two, you know, say it was either caused by this issue or that issue, you know. So.
And the other concern I have is that we have existing enforcement orders that we don't have the manpower to chase as it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if we had an agent, we could have already figured out, you know, if we have jurisdiction, Wetlands Protection Act wise, or, you know,
Right.
I mean, this is really a good.
No need to be.
Sorry, I can't do more.
It's not your
Sitting
job.
over here feeling sad and guilty. I know.
Not trying.
I know you're not. I just wish I could
It's
do more.
you know, it's the reason the commission has not pursued, has not prioritized pursuing enforcement in general.
Yeah.
And it's the reason the commission has not prioritized stewardship of land. It just comes back to a time and energy.
Right.
And we just don't have the resources.
I mean, so the other things going on here is that it looks like a private party has messed with the city's culvert. A private party has dug right next to the city's manhole, and a private party has caused significant alterations to another private party's property. It seems like, you know, the land trust, like if we can't do anything, the land trust could sue easily, because regardless of which activity it came from, it was definitely the one person that did both of them, it seems like. Or, you know, the city engineering or DPW could go after somebody for messing with their infrastructure, basically, because it affected the roadway embankment, it affected the culvert, and it may have affected something to do with manhole or something like that. I don't know. But, and then there's also the stormwater stuff.
Right.
I guess doing an enforcement order under the stormwater thing, you know, we could try it, but we'd be on our own pretty much. You know, we don't have DEP to provide, you know.
DEP's not going to provide support unless we.
But I mean, at least under the Wetland Protection Act, we have, you know, all the, you know, we can ask them questions, or we can, you know, there's piles and piles of case law, you know, about how to do enforcement and everything.
I mean, do you feel like calling David Fallis on this?
Not really. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Let me gather a little more information before the next meeting.
Yeah, and I think we came close to issuing an enforcement order under the stormwater ordinance once before, and we just didn't because the landowner suddenly became cooperative.
Well, my other question about the stormwater is that if there is an approved subdivision plan that's before the stormwater ordinance, does it need to comply with the stormwater ordinance?
Well, it wouldn't need to comply, you know, from a design perspective, but you couldn't.
But the erosion.
Yeah, you couldn't cause erosion.
So if there was, say, 2 acres of disturbance up there.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be, so all things being equal, that would also be an EPA NIPD's issue.
Right.
That would be a federal problem that's way beyond our purview.
Yeah, I mean, probably it would be the illicit discharge ordinance, you
Everything
know.
okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That we would be,
Kids are hungry.
My husband doesn't have a cell phone. He can't text me.
Really?
He's off the grid.
Nice. But he's
All over the place.
on
the
Okay.
Facebook.
So we've got a little, I'll do a little data gathering, I don't know when, but I will. Mill Street property, anything? Bueller,
Let's take that
take
off.
that off, okay. Gone. Meeting minutes approval, July 28th, 2014, does anyone have a copy of said minutes? I was not here.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
You skipped the Manhan B under general business. Which is
I
a-
did?
Is that
Recurring
erosion thing?
erosion.
A little erosion thing by the trail.
I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
Sorry, thank you. There's an email from Jim Gracia. I don't remember the content. I know there was an email from Jim Gracia. I've had like 6 emails from Jim Gracia. I will try to carve some time before the next meeting to distribute and put the
Okay.
burden on someone else to read.
No problem.
All right, is there anything else to discuss?
I guess going back to the East Street thing, we should probably try to have something on the table to discuss an issue next meeting, so it doesn't drag on too long.
I think what you really need to do is you need to get a site visit and a conversation with them before any.
Or
Maybe we can talk to
maybe
them
it's
at the site visit.
I mean,
or
that's the other
yeah.
thing too. I
Say,
mean, that's
hey,
a good idea.
tell us about
because-
this East Street thing.
Because I think what
Yeah.
happened with the South Street situation is he felt like there should have been a conversation before the enforcement came and it didn't happen. So
So, I
I
mean-
think that would be a fair approach, is to at
Okay.
least get his side of the story. And if after that you believe that there's an enforcement issue, then I think
I'm fine with that approach.
But so has anybody reached out to him about the East Street thing?
not East Street, South Street. I've been trying to contact him, but.
All right.
So that said, while I value the input of members of PCT, I do not want an initial site visit with at East Street with members of PCT present. I think it would become contentious, perhaps not focused on issues subject to our jurisdiction, especially with discussion of other property bounds, things of that nature. So I don't want it to become a unfriendly neighbor situation like we had in East Street, further down. With the
Which one was that?
The water.
Oh, right.
Runoff.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
it's the mountain.
Yeah, trust me, I know that well right now.
Water goes downhill fast.
Depends on the day. All right, so that said, I have a question for you, Jess. Sorry. This correspondence regarding,
Yes, it's just our
Waterfield?
standard stuff, so this is
so
a
help me
one,
understand
I
what's
don't think
going
you
on.
have any jurisdiction, but it's there's already a tow, 24/7 tow company that's there. And they would be leasing a portion of their building and providing parking spaces to a 24/7 taxi cab service.
So all existing pavement, I see new 6-foot high chain link fence. What are these distances? Because they've got a rough line for the, sorry.
I'm old. I'm catching up, don't worry. Not anymore.
I'm assuming this is an approximate,
I think so.
Boundary.
I mean, I don't think anything's happened from here down. In fact, there's the access to that PCT
right, but
property that I
they're,
think that comes up here somewhere. But they're just, all they're gonna be doing is parking here in these spaces in this area.
And
They're coming and
That's
going
already
back
parking
here.
lot? Or is
where's
that-
this new chain link fence they're talking about?
This is, I mean, all of this was submitted as part of the towing project, so this is, they're recycling somebody else's site plan. So these fences were put into place.
Oh, okay.
As part of this, it's already there. as far as
Okay,
I know.
so
all they
they're
wanted
just-
to do was say, we want to park our vehicle, they have 18 taxi cabs that they want to park, and they want to put them here.
Jeepers.
Okay.
Is this already parking area or dirt?
Yeah,
or
it's already
something?
dirt, the whole thing is already.
Is this the old tractor?
Yes.
Didn't we review something here? Like maybe not really review, but sort of review it in a little bit of detail, like a year ago or something? Or
What was it
somebody
about,
talked
though?
about it or something.
I don't remember what it was about.
So this is Pleasant Street up here?
Maybe it was when the towing place.
Pleasant
Street.
Ferry.
Turns to Love Field, which later turns to O'Neill.
Yes.
Love Field actually changes
Yes.
names, of course. I'm with you, I
Okay.
know where we are.
All right.
And
Yeah.
Ferry Street's right here,
Yeah.
big mill,
Yeah.
bacon.
Yeah, yeah.
They put the street names on there that nobody would know. Left out the ones that everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's done. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Anyone
Make a
can
motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Or second?
Second.
Second.
So moved.
I